Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Johnny, and welcome to episode 125 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Where are we, and who we with?
Well, those are two good questions. I know who we're with. So this is Sam Marks. I'm sitting no more than 2 feet across a very tiny room in Burgas, Bulgaria from Johnny. We're sharing a hotel room. So this episode is on how not to travel like a boss. Because I am currently without luggage for 5 days. And, well, I don't know. What else is not bossy about what we're doing?
Not being able to order dinner because we can't read the language here.
That's true.
But all these things are they're fun. They're annoying. They're not bossy as in luxury or as in comfort.
Yeah.
They kind of suck.
Yeah, Johnny and I had to sit in these really small seats on a bus. It was about a 7-hour bus, side by side. We couldn't move seats, but it was absolutely beautiful. You know, the people were nice. They were quiet. We were passing wine country the whole way there, and then we arrive at this pretty amazing beachside town that I didn't even know really existed until like a few months ago. So I guess that's bossy.
Yeah, I like it. So in this episode, I want to just kind of catch you guys up. I know I haven't recorded one this week. It's because I've been so busy traveling around Bulgaria, and this is so different than the way I normally like to travel. I normally like easy planned routes in countries that speak decent English with good infrastructure, and this is entirely new for me. And if it wasn't for Sam and his crazy ways, there's no way I would have signed up for this.
Well, I think this has always actually been kind of a dream trip for me, because I think it's one of those trips that if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it. There's not as much appeal to do this in your 40s or 50s. It's kind of like going to Central America. It's awesome. It's got an edge to it. There's just a really great experiences that you can have there. And it's because there's a little bit more risk and a little bit more edge. I think it's the same with Eastern Europe. But I know that you thought I was going to have this all kind of planned down to a T. But I think this is the perfect trip that you just go and you just figure shit out, and you know, you fly by the seat of your pants in it, and then that's where the better experiences happen.
I like it. So this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Bulgaria, what we think of it so far, as well as kind of explore some ways and tips on how we kind of figure it out. What do you do when you're in a country that nobody speaks English? The characters are in this cryptic Sicilian alphabet that nobody can read unless you're Bulgarian. When there are no buses or direct routes or trains or even planes to the next destination you want to go to. When you can't figure out how to order food, you can't figure out the currency, you can't figure out anything, how you could still enjoy the crap out of it. Because I can safely say I had an amazing day today.
I think it was one of the best days I've had in years. And back to your point about the cryptic language, honestly, this is probably the only country outside of inland China that I've been to that literally almost nobody speaks English, and none of the signs have English translation. Like even in Japan, I mean, it's a little bit easier to get around. Here, it could be damn hard to figure it out. But,
for example, we just grabbed a bite to eat just near a hotel at a restaurant. Beautiful place, nice garden, we sat outside. We were able to figure out the beer menu. That was quite easy. And it had amazing beer for €1. Well, $1 basically.
Less than $1. Less. And it wasn't just a beer, it was a pint of beer. A pint of beer for 90.9 euros, right?
Which is exactly $1. I think it's like 99 cents.
I just want to say it's under $1.
It is under $1. It's 99 cents, and that includes tax.
Yeah, and tip. Yeah, so it's unbelievable. I mean, you can't name another place in the world that you can do that now.
But I couldn't read anything on the menu. They didn't have an English menu. There was no picture menu. So I basically had to say to the girl, and she was like 19, 20. So she is supposed to be the age where she would speak English. Because in general, people would say, oh, if people under 30 all speak English. She spoke like 3 words. Basically, I had to motion, I'm hungry. And then I said, what do you have? And we had to figure out, basically the only 2 words I said to her was pork.
Yeah. And the meal came out like exactly as you would have liked it, right?
It was fantastic.
It was so good. So how much was our total bill? So we had a beer each, like a pint of beer each. I had like a delicious French crepe that was very filling
with Nutella, hazelnut. I had a full meal that was grilled pork steaks that were marinated perfectly. They were amazing. Some fries and some vegetables on the side. Our entire bill, including tax and tip, was 15 Bulgarian lev, which is, and you divide that basically by 2. So it was less than $8.
It was $7.70, which is just incredible. So anyways, it's very inexpensive here. And one of the cool things that I just really enjoyed all day today, because I just flew from Singapore to Bangkok through Dubai to Istanbul, and oh my God, like you just go through those places and you're like, there's just too many people in the world. It's just not even fun anymore, right? Here, the population is very small. There's families everywhere. It's just like you get a lot of space, and I honestly did not see one foreigner the entire day. It's all Bulgarians, and they're all just lovely people. So it's nice to be in a place like that for a change, right? Where there's just no foreigners. You're in their habitat, and it's a great place because they're not corrupted and destroyed. Like their souls are not destroyed like everyone in Bangkok that's got to deal with all these foreigners all day, right? So
yeah, cool. The crazy thing about Thailand, and this really saddens me, is Thai people are so nice. They are, their culture, their religion, their way of being is just like nice, honest, trustworthy. Like they'll never want to harm you or scam you. But unfortunately, in places like Bangkok, Phuket, probably Pattaya, I haven't been there. Some parts of Krabi, the kind of the more, basically anywhere that's touristy, they become these scam artists. These con artists, they become mean, angry. They kind of become the exact opposite of who their character used to be.
Yeah. I honestly, it's soul crushing, and that's why if Thai people are my favorite people in the world, hands down. But if you go up to the north, places like Pyce, still in Chiang Mai, but especially like some of the outside places, you find the real traditional Thai that are just these absolute beautiful souls. And of course, when you go down to Phuket now, Samui, especially Bangkok, I mean, they're still lovely people, but you go to a Starbucks, okay? I did like this experiment where I went to a Starbucks in Krabi, and I just sat there and watched people order Starbucks for an hour. And these, you go into Starbucks and you order a coffee, like, want this, thank you very much, you pay, thank you, have a nice day. People go in there are just absolutely pricks to these wonderful, Thai people, and you just think, like, if you had to work in that environment every day, it just destroy you. And it's the same with all hospitality. My girlfriend works in a hotel in Thailand, and you sit there and watch the people come in, and everyone wants to argue and complain. It's sad. So, unfortunately, major tourist hubs, they do that to people. So it's good to be in a place like this that it's a beautiful place. It could be a massive tourist hub, but it doesn't get it, so.
And it's hard because there's pros and cons of bringing tourism, because tourism provides money, provides advancements in technology and a ton of great things to advance a culture, especially one that doesn't have much other industry or wants to be able to grow. So, if it wasn't for tourism in Thailand, they would lose a huge percentage of their net income for the country. Yeah. All these islands that Thai people don't even like going to, really, there would be nothing on there. It would still be farmland. So the fact that tourists do come and we do spend money is a great thing for the economy. And there's a lot of tourists that are genuinely nice, but then they get ripped off by a Thai person or someone's rude to them. So then they become rude back. So it's kind of like the chicken before the egg. Like, who was rude first? I'm sure there was a lot of, dickheads that were drunk and just, obnoxiously rude. And that's pissed off a lot of Thai people. Yeah. And then because they're pissed off, they're like, well, these guys are just, paychecks anyways. Let's try to get as much out of them as possible. That pisses off the genuine good tourists, and then they become mean, and it's just this vicious cycle.
Yeah, unfortunately, every country seems to be chasing that GDP number, and you just wonder how much, what does GDP really matter, okay? What should always matter is happiness, right? But how do you quantify happiness, right? Most people associate it with GDP because GDP would indicate that everyone has a higher standard of living. But the two of the places I found the happiest people recently, of course, I always say Thai people are my favorite people, but I mean, Thailand's a little nutty right now. There's just so much going on, so much tourism. Everyone's moving to the city. But Bulgaria here, I mean, the people, everywhere you go, there's families playing, people are happy. I mean, they don't speak your language, but they're very welcoming and enjoying. And also thought Chile. And Chile is, it's got a lot of similarities to Bulgaria. Their GDPs aren't skyrocketing. They don't seem to be innovating that quickly, but they're family oriented. They got lots of land. Their populations are under control. So I'm starting to view the world a little bit differently. And I know the places that I want to spend time, especially after just spending so much time this year in Bangkok and Singapore, I just don't want to really be around that anymore. It's kind of soul crushing in a way. And all of the sin in the world is concentrated in big cities, right? And when you're in part of that energy, I think it rubs off on you. So I'm really starting to take to some of these a little bit more, I don't know, spaced areas. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of our trip because we're gonna see some really cool spots.
I like it. And that's a big kind of travel tip for everyone listening is the places that you've heard most about are probably already overrun by tourists, and unfortunately that makes it usually way overpriced, too expensive, not as friendly, not as authentic. So think of the 10 must-go places in the world and just cross them off your list for now. Paris, Brussels.
Well, those are two that probably aren't too high on anyone's list right now.
But even like Sydney, Australia, London, England, Bangkok, Thailand.
And there is some degree of like, you need to see those places to appreciate a place like this. Because if the first place I came as a tourist was Burgas, Bulgaria. I mean, I was just thinking, like, if I brought my parents here, they wouldn't think anything of it, right? For a lot of friends here who haven't traveled much, they'd be like, this is okay. But if you go to enough places, then places like this, I think, really start to, rub off in a very positive way to you because you've been around, you've seen the highlights, and you've seen enough of the tourist stuff that you just want to get around some good vibes and some good energy and some space, right?
Yeah, that's true. And so, kind of depending on your travel experience, I would say if you have just started traveling, in terms of you've been traveling for a total for 6 months or less, or a year or less, I would say, go to a place that is like up and coming, the next cool place. So even places like Budapest, it's not so on someone's top 10 list, but it'll definitely be on people's top 20 list. Yeah. So places like that are amazing. Vienna, Austria, it's not as popular as, Paris, France, but to me, it's more beautiful. People are friendlier. It's just easier to get around. It's not as big of a ripoff.
Yeah. I would say one of the best examples of that is Croatia. So I went to Croatia in 2005. I had never talked to anyone who had gone to it. We just went there on a whim, and it was the greatest place I had ever gone. And I went back recently, last year for Yacht Week, and it was still great, but oh my God, it was so crowded. Like everyone's going there now, If you can find those spots that are, like you said, the up and coming areas, I don't know where they would be right now. I mean, you mentioned a few of them that are good.
I think Poland. Yeah, it's great.
I think that's an awesome example.
Krakow, Poland is amazing for tourism. Not that it's very popular with like English people, but England's not that big of a country. There's not that many Americans yet. There's not that many Australians there yet. That's still up, one of those places that people are still going, and not just Krakow, but Warsaw and all the other cities. I would say also Portugal. Lisbon
definitely
is amazing. It's up and coming. It's one of those places where some people kind of heard about, but most people they don't put it on their first trip.
Yeah. A lot of people are talking about the Baltics now. So you have Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. I went to Estonia in 2008, and it is a really, really cool city. And I went out, me and my buddy went out, and something happened. We don't remember. And we got jumped and beat up really badly, and woke up, had a broken hand, dislocated shoulder. We were both black and blue, and neither of us had any idea what had happened. So there's parts of the world like that I mean, that's close to Russia, and there's but I like places like that where there's a little bit of edge. That's why I like Central America so much. Like I can very rarely get anyone to want to travel to Central America with me, but I like it because there's an edge, and because you can get in trouble, it just makes the whole thing a little bit more interesting. You have to be cautious, and the people that you meet there, like when you're traveling through Honduras, people you meet there, they're not people that you meet in Paris. They're people that have a little bit of edge to them. They know their way around town. They're willing to go out and do a little bit more adventurous stuff. So I think it's a good mix. If you're gonna do the high tourist spots, mix in a few of the little seedy underbellies as well.
I like it. So let's rewind a few days for this trip, because Sam and I just met up 2 days ago when it was actually supposed to be like a few more days before that. So what happened was I went to Sofia, Bulgaria a few days before Sam was to arrive, just to scout it out, just kind of do my own thing. And the first 2 days, honestly, I didn't like it. It was too seedy for me. It was too hard to communicate with people, to get around. Unless you eat at very touristy restaurants, you basically get the same thing that happened today, but you can't order. So you have to just point at, food that's like pizza or something that you can see. So I didn't like that, because I was so used to being in Poland for the last month where it's so easy. Everyone speaks English. There's English menus. It's just easier to get around. But what really kind of turned me around was, instead of just being in the city, I decided, you know what? Sofia is really known for its nature. So I spent an entire day hiking up the mountain, which is just, 15, 20-minute drive outside of the city center. Beautiful place, and that mountain you can ski on in the winter. So imagine being able to go to work and night ski 20 minutes away from your house. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good skiing. And it was nice flying into Sofia. I'll tell you what, after the hellish trip I had from Bangkok, my flight got canceled in Dubai. I had to stay overnight in Dubai. They lost my luggage. Flew to Istanbul, had a long layover in Istanbul, finally got to Sofia, and then they lost my luggage again. But I got in late into Sofia, and I woke up the next morning and looked out the window and was immediately reminded it's summertime in Europe. And I just had, since then, I've just been a really happy guy, even though it's now been 5 days and just now they were finally able to locate my luggage and it's still in Dubai. So I've been rocking around with one pair of underwear and one pair of socks. I just wore Johnny's board shorts to the beach today and found some local market to pick up some goods. But honestly, what's kind of cool about this whole experience is I packed this massive suitcase and now I don't even want it. I have 2 pairs of underwear, a couple pairs of socks, and a borrowed bathing suit from Johnny. And you're just reminded, you don't need that much. You always overpack. I know, Johnny, you just threw a bunch of shit away, right?
So first off, sucks that your flight was delayed by an entire day and they lost your luggage, but you made it. I was excited. I was able to go on the 7 Lakes tour on the day that you were gone. So I got to see some cool stuff. But you inspired me when you how nonchalant and cool you were. Because to be honest, right when you landed and you told me your luggage was lost, my immediate plan was, okay, I guess we have to stay here for a few more days until your luggage comes. And I was really surprised when you said, what are you talking about? We're not going to, change our plans. We're going to the beach tomorrow. And I thought, that's so irresponsible. How are they going to track you down and give you your luggage back? Shouldn't you be sitting around worried? And you're like, no, we're not going to let that deter us. And that was awesome to me. I really I think that's kind of the inspiration that I needed to kind of look at my own situation, that how maybe I'm too comfortable.
Well, let's look at what you were carrying and what you threw out. Let's do a little quick inventory of what you decided to downsize.
So I've been traveling this 75-liter backpack, and I brought way too much crap. I think, to be fair, I knew I was going to be in Europe for at least 3 months, so I wanted kind of some niceties, right? And so I brought a ton of clothes. I brought a couple things that would be nice to have in an apartment if I was going to keep it for if I was going to be somewhere. And I was just carrying this stuff around for 2 months, and I used everything once, and I thought, it's so heavy and it's weighing me down. So I decided, why not give some of the stuff away to people at the hostel? So just 5 minutes before we had to leave, I unpacked my bag that was already packed, and I just took out everything that I can replace for less than $100. I said, if it's something I'm not going to use in the next 2 months and it costs me less than $100, I'm just going to give it away. So I had a Bluetooth speaker that my sister gave me for Christmas. Thanks, Christina. And I knew I'm probably not going to use this. I'm not in an apartment. I don't need fancy music. I can just play podcast, on my phone. Gave that away. Flying Squirrel Outfitters hammocks. Thank you for the travel hammock. I used it once in a park and it was awesome, but I'm probably not going to use it that often because I'm not in places to use it. So I just gave it away.
And it's perfect at the hostel, right? Because that was a cool hostel. They'll make a nice home for it.
Still like it. So thank you, Flying Squirrel Outfitters, for the hammock. It has now been donated again. I gave away some clothes that wasn't fitting right, and I'm just holding on to for no reason. A coffee maker, a drip coffee maker with the filters. I'm like, why do I need to make fancy coffee if I'm traveling around? If there's a day that I can't find coffee, I just won't have it. So little things like that. So I ended up giving away, probably in total close to $150 or $200 worth of stuff. That's stuff that I'll probably end up rebuying one day. But the freedom of not having to carry it around for the next 2 months is absolutely worth that amount.
Yeah, and what else did you give away? The shower soap.
Oh yeah, like
So
body wash.
We've done fine without that, you know? We've done fine without. They jump in the ocean, you're good. I think another cool point that you brought up was Johnny and I are in our 30s and we're still staying at hostels, right? And we're we're in a little hotel simply because there's like only one accommodation left in Burgos, but we're going to Bucharest tomorrow, and we're actually not staying in a hostel there because it was booked. But yeah, you know, it's great to mix it up. You stay in a hostel one night, you do an Airbnb in one place, maybe a hotel and stuff. But honestly, I think I'll be staying in hostels until I'm probably mid-40s. And I've been in hostels and made friends with guys in their 60s, right? That are still doing it. It's becoming much more of an all age type of group. As long as you have the right attitude, you're willing to, you know.
I've actually read that on one of the. I think it was for Hostel where I stayed in Sofia, where in the FAQ. One was like, what's the age limit? Because I've seen it sometimes where they say you have to be 35 or under. And I understand why they do that, because they want to have a certain atmosphere where people are having fun, people are social, people don't feel like their parents are there. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this trip this year is I thought this is the last year I'm going to stay in hostels. But Sam actually is the one inspiring me to say, you know what? As long as you're young at heart, you know, like why not just be social, enjoy the company. You don't have to go out and get smashed every night with them. Yeah. But, you know, just kind of like being around other travelers or kind of down with them, not stuffy, staying in a hotel. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah. But what I don't want to become is that guy that I met at the hostel last week, where he was, I think, in his 50s or, you know, like probably late 50s, and he was such a downer. I talked to him over dinner because I wanted to, I figured, like, you know, he's in his 50s traveling, he must be a cool guy, he must have a lot of cool stories, but he was such a downer the whole time. And I had to stop talking to him because, you know, and there's, you know, this old English guy. And for the rest of the next 4 days, I saw him every single night while everyone else was socializing, having fun. He was on one of the free use computers with his headphones in, watching a movie by himself, not talking to anyone, only staying there because it's cheap.
Bizarre.
And I do not want to be that guy ever.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is too, we're staying in private rooms, which I don't think I could ever go back and stay in a 6 or 8 bed or 10 bed dorm. Those days are probably over. But if you stay in a private room at a hostel, I mean, often the hostels are the best place in town to hang out. They got the best bars and they organize the pub crawls and all the other activities. So yeah, we'll see where we get to. We still got. So what are the other stops along the way? We have.
Okay, so even before that, I want to say one last thing about hostels before we move on is it resets. You know, this is what I learned from Sam in episode 105. It resets your expectations. So the room we were staying in now was super cheap. It was like what, $30 a night, and we're splitting it, so it's like $15 a night each.
And you get what you pay for.
No, but to be honest, because I've been staying in a crappy hostel for the last 4 days, to me, this is a really nice room. Like, I'm super comfortable. I'm like, oh, wow, I have like white sheets, you know, that like, and I have a fitted sheet instead of like being on a bare mattress. We have like a nice hot shower. There's like an actual desk. Like, you know, there's like wood on the walls and like there's white walls without stains on it. And it really makes me appreciate this room. I really think this is a great room because my expectations have been totally reset from staying at a hostel for the last 5 days.
Absolutely. And it's point in case, same with me coming out here. I flew business class on Emirates A380 from Bangkok to Dubai. And then I flew economy class from Dubai to Istanbul. And oh my God, what a totally different experience. And I would just say this, it's not necessarily the comfort of the chair. It's who you're surrounded with. So when you go up that next level, you just surround yourself with a different group of people. And, you know, the economy can be hit or miss. You can be in good company and you can have lots of space, or you can be in horrible company. And that was what it was for me. I was extremely tight. There was crying babies everywhere. There were just rude people. And it's just a terrible experience, right? It's just like from the point you get on to the point you get off, you're just a stress mess, right? Then when I got to Sofia, because of that, if I had flown business class that leg, when I got to Sofia, I probably would have been like, everything's slow, the taxi driver. But because I came into Sofia after that, I was just like, this is heaven, right? Everything's great. I'm staying in this hostel. It's beautiful. Like, so it's really important just to balance things out. I think for every time that you do something that's a little bit extravagant, you should just put yourself in that position of, basically humble yourself, right? And then you're always looking forward to something new.
I like it. So we finally arrived at the coast, Black Sea, staying in Burgos. I think I'll write a Johnny's travel guide to Bulgaria. So check that out on johnnyft.com in a few days. But basically, to sum it up, if you're going to come to the coast, you probably don't want to stay in Burgos unless you plan on taking buses or even renting a car to explore. The beach town we ended up taking a bus to, it's called what? Sozopol or something?
Sozopol or something
Sozopol?
to the south.
And it was so much nicer just to walk around. It's smaller. Like nice old city. It's kind of what you expect to be a beach resort, but the beach is so unlike the beaches I'm used to in Asia, where they're secluded, and you have the whole beach to yourself sometimes, or at least you don't have 5 trillion lawn chairs and umbrellas out.
Yeah, it reminded me actually a lot of Croatia, a lot of Greece, a lot of similarities, even a little bit of like Ibiza, just music, and it was good. It was good. But the good thing with where we're staying now, Burgas, is it's central to a lot of it's essential to the coast basically, so you can go north 20-30 minutes to good beaches and you can go south 20-30 minutes to good beaches. So if you want to base yourself here and then and tackle a couple things each day, it's a good location. It's good downtown too, good vibes, good restaurants.
Yeah, it's nice to be for a city, but I would say as long as it's just here for a couple of days, stay at one of the beach resorts instead. We ended up getting very lucky, and we met this super cool girl on the beach on our first day. Shout out to Kesnia if you're listening to this. She basically just showed us around, and we hung out all day by the beaches. And so she, instead of us like taking an overpriced taxi or having to rent a car, she was like, "Oh no, we'll just meet at this train station. Pay $2 and we'll get there." And we went to the first beach was the one in Stolzen Paul, how do you say it? Which was super crowded. But then we took another short taxi ride, like a 10-minute taxi ride, to a place called Smoky, and I'll have links to the actual names of these places. And that place was beautiful.
Yeah, that place was ballin'. I liked it a lot. Unfortunately, we didn't get up to the north, which would have been Sunny Beach and Hennessy Bar. Mm-hmm. We'll have to save that for another trip. I've heard good things.
We can definitely check that out. But I do know for a fact that Sunny Beach is even more crowded and more touristy, but it's supposed to be great for its nightlife.
Another trip.
All right. So right now it is midnight. We are both laying in our underwear on twin-size beds, drinking Hennessy.
I'm drinking Hennessy, and you haven't touched yours.
I've been sipping on mine.
I'm getting upset. No one likes to drink alone, Johnny.
And we have to be
at midnight when they're in their underwear in their bed.
We got to be up in 6.5 hours to take a bus there.
I don't even know. We're going to go close to the Romanian border.
It's called Ruse. And it's literally on the border of Romania and Bulgaria.
Where's that?
And the reason why we're going there is, turns out there is no way to get from Burgas to our next destination, which is Bucharest. There are no flights. There's no train.
How many people?
There's no bus.
How many people listening do you think, if you gave them a map of the world with blank names, could pick Romania and Bulgaria?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be.
I don't think we could have done it before.
I still can't do it. I'm looking at a map right now.
Yeah.
But
that'd be a good challenge. You should somehow come up with a graph and make that a quiz for everybody.
So right now, guys, before you look at Google Maps, try to figure out where the two places are in your head, and let us know in the comments.
I bet even people in Europe couldn't figure it out.
No, definitely not. So if you guys are wondering where Bulgaria and Romania are, this is legit East Europe. We're out of the EU. We're out of the Schengen area. This is pretty much as east as you can get before you get to like Turkey.
It's right in between Afghanistan and Iran.
Oh, is it?
No.
No. But like, it's.
But the only thing that separates it is
Turkey.
the Black Sea
and Turkey. Yeah. So we're pretty much right under Ukraine. We're east of Serbia. So this is super east.
Yeah.
East Europe.
And at that, we're as far east as you can go in the country.
It is. Yeah, because we're on the Black Sea border. So it hasn't been an easy travel experience, but as Sam kind of alluded to earlier, I'm glad I'm doing it now and not in my 40s.
Yeah. Well, we'll see I think Romania is going to be a tough one. I feel like there's the gypsy scares, and it just seems like Bulgaria has been very straightforward. I feel like the people have been nice and welcoming, and it seems like honest. I don't know. Romania, we're going to rent a car in Romania. We're going to go, we're going to have to another level of kind of maturity should probably apply there.
So I guess we're gonna see. So stay tuned. We're gonna do a follow-up episode after our trips. This is gonna be a fun 2 weeks. So stay tuned, everyone. Sam, thanks again for staying up a little bit later and being on the show, drinking some Hennessy with me.
Is this your first time drinking Hennessy?
No. You know what? Here's a funny story. I'm going to share with everyone for the first time ever. The first alcohol I've ever had at a bar was Hennessy.
That's nuts.
And I thought that was what everyone drank at every bar. Because when I was 17, I met a guy online on a chat room. On AOL, Bay Area Asians chat room. And his name is Chris Ng. So shout out to Chris Ng. He said, hey, it's my birthday tonight. Why don't you come out? I'll be at Club Era. And I said to him, I was like, hey, I'm not 21, right? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just tell me you're my little brother. So I show up there and this huge line. This was like the most happening club at the time in San Francisco. And I walk up to the front and I said, hi, I'm Johnny. I'm Chris's brother. And the bouncer, this big guy named CB, I think was named Cheeseburger. He's like, oh, you Chris's brother? Yeah, come on in. And we go inside, meet Chris for the first time ever in person. And we walk into the bar without even ordering or saying anything. He just says, what's up? They pour us 2 shots of Hennessy with orange and pineapple juice chaser. No, sorry. It was orange and cranberry chasers.
I'd like one of those right now.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And we would go upstairs. We would have that one drink and it was always free. We never paid for it. We'd go upstairs to this VIP room and there'd be a big platter of fruit and fried shrimp and a bottle of Remy Martin XO. No, not XO.
Oh, nice.
Remy Martin VSOP, I think. And we would just sit there with like 10 guys and just like drink this Remy cognac, which I still don't understand. We would always have Hennessy at the bar and then a bottle of Remy. And about 20 minutes later, one guy would walk out and he would walk back in with 10 girls. And this was my life for between like 17 and 18. Never been to a bar, never been to a club. And I honestly thought that is what bar life is like.
It's a good life. Well, what do the rappers always drink Hennessy with? Because this is how it got famous, right?
With Robitussin.
No.
Yeah, I do.
No, they always like drinking Hennessy
with that Tussin.
With what?
Tussin.
What's Tussin?
Robitussin.
No, man. They're mixing it with Sprite or something. It's that they got that purple Sprite and it's like Hennessy and purple Sprite or something like that.
I'm pretty sure purple Sprite is a slang word for Robitussin.
I'm going to look it up.
Purple
I know they mix Hennessy with something. And this was my first time drinking Hennessy. And so on my flight, the flight to Istanbul, I was so frustrated and so spoiled after flying first class and getting drink service whenever I wanted. I got into economy and I got one drink on like a 5-hour flight and I was just fussy, right? So then on the next flight to Sofia, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. So I went and bought this, I don't even know, how big is this thing? 20 CLs, it's like a third of a bottle, and they let me take it on the flight. So as soon as I sat down, I cracked it and I was just drinking this, just straight swigs out of it. I'm like, why don't you do this on every flight? You don't have to wait for people to serve you. So that's been my intro to Hennessy, and I gotta say, I'm a pretty big fan. Works all times of the day. Breakfast with cereal, lunch with a kebab, and dinner wash down my pills to keep my hair from falling out, and as a nice nightcap.
I like it. So, speaking of nightcaps, we're going to go to bed. Got to be up early for this long bus ride. Sam, thanks again for being on the show. If you want to know more about Sam business-wise, how come he is traveling like a boss and able to basically not work at all this last week, listen to episode 105. It is titled Millionaire Digital Nomad with Sam Marks. And yes, I am sharing a $30 a night room with a multi-millionaire.
We also, if you guys haven't heard yet, check out Invest Like a Boss. And it kind of goes the same as saying we're sharing a $30 room a night. So don't necessarily take investment advice from us, but you can learn a lot by our experience and our mishaps and our successes at that. And more than that, we're talking to some of the best people in the financial world every single week to share with you all the knowledge that they have. So check that out.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people have heard about our new podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so right now. Even if you don't think investing is for you, if you don't have the money to invest yet, don't worry about it. It's just a fun journey where we are experimenting with our own hard-earned cash and figuring out what is the best way to grow your money truly passively with investments. So check out investlikeaboss.com or just subscribe to it wherever you get your podcasts now. So see you guys all next week and peace out, right?
Yep.
I like it.
Drink Hennessy.
Drink some Hennessy for us. All right. So I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's been taking the time to leave 5-star reviews of the Travel Like a Boss podcast on the iTunes store. You guys rock. I think we're up to 128 total reviews now. 127 of those are 5-star reviews. So thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. I almost have to go back 2 months because it's been so long. I'm just going to say your names, not even read the reviews because there's just too many of them. JQ24, big thank you. Great source of daily inspiration, motivation. Chase Halterman says, Game of Thrones of location independent entrepreneurs. Once you start listening, you won't be able to stop until you reach the very end. And you're left craving more. Super informative, eye-opening, and motivating. I know I wasn't going to read that, but it's so good. Thank you for that. Wyatt Mayhem keeps you focused on your goals. And Lauder from Australia, the must listen to podcast. Thank you all. One day I'm going to actually have some time to go through and read all these on air. So keep them coming. And I will see all of you next week. Peace out. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus, How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.